All right, bang, bang. It's the rundown. March 9th. Wednesday, March 9th.
C plus bang, bang.
Awful bang, bang. I had a couple high noons last
You're bang,
night.
bang.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
You and I had a couple high noons. We were at the Blackhawks
I
game
literally
last night.
did. I literally had high noons.
And
not
what
even
flavor
an ad.
did you have?
My favorite flavor is grapefruit. I think I'm in the minority on that, but I love the grapefruit.
I don't typically enjoy
Watch
grapefruit, but
Chief
grapefruit,
die on a grapefruit hill.
It's great. Nice side
it's a
of
little
burrata.
too tart
yeah.
for me, but when it's mixed with a hard seltzer like High Noon, I'll be all over that. And the best part of High Noon, what's it made with, Carl?
Oh, real vodka.
Real vodka. That is key. It's only 100 calories. It's gluten-free, no added sugar. And it's not malt liquor like other beverages. You don't wake up feeling gross and disgusting. True. It's perfect springtime beverage for me, for you, for all of our great listeners out there. So that's High Noon. And like I said, it's made with real vodka.
You love
like
real
Carl
vodka.
said, I love real vodka.
Yep.
So, yeah, this is a rundown today.
No Eddie. Eddie's out.
Eddie is out. He died. He is no longer with us. And I am taking over the dog walk and rundown and Dave Portnoy show and everything moving forward. I am just joking. Ed'll be back on Monday, I think. I don't know. He'll be back when he's back. So, but yeah. So we had a little breaking news today. Do you guys want to start with Carson Wentz or Russell Wilson?
Well, you're the host. You have to pick.
Yeah.
Like
Eddie that's right. He points out. Yeah, it's not like open floor. He points. He's like, Dave, we'll start with you.
You drive
Chief.
the bus today, Dave. We just ride along.
Chief, we'll start with you.
I'll talk about Carson Wentz if it's choose your own adventure
Yeah,
rundown.
let's do a little choose your own adventure.
I don't get it. I don't get why you'd give up a single asset for Carson Wentz at this point. I'd rather have Mitch. I'd rather have Mitch for free as a free agent than give up a third-round pick. I'd rather have Taylor Heineke. I don't know what the Commanders are doing.
Almost said it.
I don't know what the Washington Commanders are doing.
To the Washington Commanders, instant reaction. Yeah. He's listening.
I think I'm done with football.
I've had a really hard time transitioning with that. They gave me 2 years. I've still been calling them the wrong name for like the last 2 years by accident.
I
don't think that's going to go anywhere. We also
Yeah.
don't talk about the Washington Commanders that much, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Carson Wentz a bum. He's been a bum since his first year. Whenever that was over, I think he won Rookie of the Year. But
He was great that year.
Yeah, and he was great, and Philly guys loved him. And then Philly's the type of fan base where like you're awesome for Philly for that first year, then they're super loud, then they hate his fucking guts. It's just like tough to come back from that because you look at Carson Wentz, you're like, man, you used to be so good, and he was very good. But there's also like,
yeah, he was second place, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what bad knee.
Yeah, he was never
Just
the
a
same.
turnover machine, and that's like the worst thing when you're watching your quarterback is just a fucking turnover machine.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's tough.
Dave, Russell Wilson, he was a good baseball player.
He was Colorado Rocky, his A-baller. He did not play at NC State, or did he? I don't know, whatever. He played college, or he played professional baseball, but he is a professional football player.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
I can't speak to that in the NFL. I know it's super weird. Like, doesn't anybody get in the NFL, basically?
I think Wilson probably is at this point.
Super
I feel like
Bowl.
if you get a Super Bowl and you're
Yeah.
like, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
And he has been for
John Elway. I'm starting to get annoyed with him. He can't draft or develop a quarterback, but he always seems to have like a stud fall in his lap. He got Peyton Manning, took him to a Super Bowl, then walked in the desert for 40 years looking for who was the tall
Paxton
guy.
Lynch?
Paxton
Was it
Lynch.
Paxton
All
Lynch?
these fucking guys
Brock
who suck.
Osweiler.
Brock Osweiler.
And then he's just like, you know what? I quit. Give me Russell Wilson. I'm done trying to find one. I'm just going to take one.
Whatever works.
Yep.
Russell Wilson's a fucking stud. Von Miller says that he wants to go back to Denver now. Obviously, what did Von Miller do last year? I know he was a
He
lot
got traded
better.
to the Rams.
I know
Won the
he
Super
was.
Bowl.
He was a lot better for the Rams because it seemed like he kind of was washed up for a minute there. Am I
It's tough.
correct
I
in
mean, if
saying
you're
this?
Von Miller and you play all those years with the Broncos and you're awesome, and then here comes Vic Fangio, and it's just like you're not vibing, you're not really having that much success. I
And
think
he's
it's
a
pretty easy to
3-4
get
guy,
out the
right?
door.
Fangio.
Yeah, 3-4. Yeah, Fangio.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, that just automatically.
He's an edge player.
He's
but
an edge guy.
Yeah,
he's
so
not setting an edge necessarily.
I think getting an A-plus quarterback is like probably the best recruiting tool in football.
There you go.
AFC West,
And
Justin
speaking
Herbert.
of that, what would you want to play for Antonio Brown and Kanye West, because rumor has it they're interested in
So am I.
buying the team.
So am I.
Well, they have money. Well, Kanye has lots of money.
Doesn't matter. We talked about this on Redline earlier today about like the owners' boys club. There's no fuck. I don't think Goodell would let Kanye do the halftime show. You think they're gonna let that guy buy a team? This is like the biggest non-story of all time. He's never gonna be able to buy a team.
Well,
Both these guys are known for.
I don't know about. I mean, maybe at some point.
Never. He will never.
I don't know how
own
it works
an
in the
NFL
NFL.
team.
Like, I can speak a little bit to baseball, but in the NFL, I don't know if it's like you just cut a check and buy the team. It's not like
Never.
I would say you're more than likely right.
Thank you.
Correct.
Well, I
right
mean,
there.
he's saying the word never. Right? You can't be more
Never.
than likely if you're throwing the word never around. You better be fucking dead on balls.
Fair.
Never.
It won't happen, and we've seen the theatrics out of Kanye West, like presidential runs and shit like that. Anyways, it's all about. He's an odd fucking
That's
guy.
your ownership group is the two craziest people in the world right now, Antonio Brown and Kanye. Never.
What if they're right?
Never. I'll chain myself to a statue. Never.
What if we're the
Why
crazy
Why do
ones?
we got to bring that up?
I
We
was
just
just
talked
saying, it
about
was
it
just-
yesterday how I haven't said or done anything stupid in a long time now.
So does it dig at you?
No, it's
If
just,
you hear it now,
I,
does it
I
kinda
was just
get to
thinking
you?
of things that just popped in my
The
brain.
statue still bothers you?
It's not that it bothers me. It's that people have forgotten about it, and now people are going to remember it again.
I don't think anybody forgot about the
Nah.
statue.
Yeah,
I think
people
people are
haven't
just
said shit
warming
about it.
up to people are like willing to be like.
Now
whatever,
it's
that's
like
just Dave.
a fun callback.
I don't think
Like
so.
that's when people thought you were a real person. When they're like, "Oh, this guy says like he told Dave Portnoy like I'm going to chain myself to a statue." Like,
I didn't say
people
that.
interpreted that. Whatever you said, but people interpreted that like you would act like a reasonable regular, like you would do it.
That's always out of the question for me.
I
I'm
know.
not reasonable.
Listen,
or-
we're not
Yeah.
suggesting otherwise. I think that like generally speaking, though, other people did not know that.
I don't want to get into
Fair
it,
point.
but you know who I met last night? It was so enlightening. The guy who lit Dave's car on fire in high school.
That's true. That is true. We'll talk about that in the after
Yeah.
show.
Okay.
Yeah.
After show, Dave's high school arsonist friend.
We got to keep moving it along, though. This is the rundown. It's not a 2-hour podcast. So Bellarmine, the Bellarmine head coach, bought everyone in the bar a drink after winning their conference. I think they might have won the conference regular season and the conference tournament, but nevertheless, Bellarmine, they are not allowed to participate they're not allowed to participate in the tournament because they are transitioning to Division I from Division II, whatever fucking division they were at. Jacksonville State will go instead. They should have had an auto bid for winning the conference, and they don't get it. Is this not the dumbest rule in sports, Carl?
that the head coach. I still need to know what the official NCAA violation is, but my understanding is that the head coach cannot buy alcohol for students. Or I mean, is alcohol a banned substance for NCAA athletes?
Fucking no.
Did you get drug tested in college?
Yeah, we did.
And I
You get-
remember before the trainer would be like, just so you guys know, like caffeine is a banned substance.
Yes,
so,
we
like,
talked about that,
Like
yeah.
if you guys drink Red Bull in the morning or whatever, like
But
just
you gotta-
stay away from it.
You got to drink like 30 Red Bulls
I
to
hate
register.
to just cut this off, but you guys have this story like so far wrong.
Well, it's Bellarmine's head
I'm
coach.
looking
He
at
went,
the notes.
He went to the bar. I saw the blog. He went to the bar and he was buying shots for like the campus
That's
students.
not
like,
why
with
they
the-
That's
can't-
not why they can't go.
Yeah, that was just him being awesome
Yeah, they can't go.
because they're transitioning to
There's a
Division I.
rule that if you transition from D2 to D1, you can't be eligible for the NCAA tournament for 4 years.
Oh, that's fine.
Why is that fine?
Well,
They
I
won
thought
the
we were
conference.
sitting here ragging on this guy buying booze for the kids.
Think of how great the story would be. Like, hey, we're a 16 seed. We got this coach. We
Whatever.
made
They
the
fucking
tournament for
fuck
the
them.
first time
No,
ever.
they fucking agreed to it when they signed the deal to go D1. They knew. Hey, 4 years. They knew what they were doing. Don't tell me now year 3 have success. You're like, we want to go to the NCAA tournament. Doesn't work like that. You agree to 4 years.
It should. They won the tournament. That's an automatic bid. That's an automatic
fair.
bid.
That's
It's
just people.
not
It's Bellarmine
fair.
walking around. This is unfair.
Hey,
like
you-
whatever.
It is unfair.
Maybe if people stomp
Some
their feet
things are actually unfair. That's
around
unfair.
enough on social media, the NCAA will like lift this fucking stupid rule. It kind of happened in our backyard somewhat recently. UIC wasn't allowed to participate in their conference.
That
tournament.
was
completely
different.
different.
That was different.
Understand, but
They're leaving the
it got
conference.
switched around.
Why does
Because
this
people
rule
bitch so much.
I don't know
can
why.
you give me like a policy reason or like some sort of like
It doesn't make sense to me. Like, what is the reason for this rule?
We'd have to get Mark Emmert on.
Because wouldn't you in theory be like, you're coming from D2, you got less resources, facility. In theory, I don't know. Maybe some of these other
wonder
places.
if this is ever a rule that's ever had to be applied before. I mean, there's 358 Division I basketball teams,
but is it listen,
and almost all those kids go pro in something other
it's
than
not
sports.
necessarily a rule.
It's
not a rule. It was a condition to them joining Division I. Like they by all means, they could still be in D2 playing for a D2 title. Bellarmine, whatever, wanted to be university, college. They wanted to be Division I.
Yeah.
Okay, so like part of that agreement.
Why do you want to be Division I?
Obviously, there's more money involved,
and probably to play in like the greatest tournament that there is. And they did
gear.
My question is because the way that Reegs wrote it is that this is a rule on the books for the NCAA. So why? I wonder if this has ever had to be applied before. Because like you're saying, usually when you transition up to
you
Division
get your ass
I,
kicked.
Yeah,
Southern Illinois Edwardsville still hasn't won a D1 baseball game. I mean, there's just examples like
they were D2 and then they transitioned. Kiddo went to high school with
that one.
They went to he pitched there and he ended up getting drafted out of there. But there's
tough NCAA rule.
Stupid. Fucking get rid of it. Next, there was a massive, all caps italicized brawl at the Bryant.
I know why. Stop. I know why.
Wait, why?
It's got to do with recruiting stuff. It's got to be like greasy money shit. So it's like, all right, I'm a D2 school. We're about to go D1 because we're D2. We're less regulated. We got there's less.
Yeah. No,
right? Isn't it kind of like a?
That's got to be the reason.
It's got to be because of players.
Yeah, scholarship limits and all that.
Can't be like, oh, now that we're D1, now you guys should come
D2
to us because then it's
typically has less scholarships than D1. I don't know.
All
right, sorry. This is not the last time we're talking about it.
This one, we'll look into it.
We'll get Mark Emmert on the phone. Actually, you could probably get the ACC commission on the phone. I've met him a few times. Dr. Phillips, Northwestern's old AD.
Great.
Super cool dude. Naperville guy. Well, lived in Naperville. And actually, he went
National
to
show, Dave.
Massive brawl broke out at the Bryant versus Wagner NEC title game. Chief, what does NEC stand for? I'm guessing Northeast Conference. Couldn't tell you, though.
I don't know where Bryant or Wagner are.
It sounds one of those fake schools they use in like a movie about frats at a college. Like, I'm going to the
these are just names of guys who were like rich in the 19th century and like created their own private
barons of captains of industry.
That's fucking Wagner's Bryant and fucking Johnny. What was the other one?
Wagner and Bryant. Yeah,
Wagner and Bryant.
Yeah,
but did you guys see
they built railroads, both of them.
Yeah, Vanderbilt and all those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care. I thought the fight was like it's crazy. It's a crazy scene. It wasn't like the Malice at the Palace.
It wasn't even.
The only thing that stuck out to me, we just did the douchebag draft on Monday. Carl, you drafted guys who take their shirt off. There was a guy in the student section with his shirt off, like the biggest, and you drafted frat guys. That was like a shirt off douchebag frat guy. And of all the angles I watched, he did not get punched, and I was hoping he would. That's my only comment on that.
Well, I mean,
no, I don't want anybody
not advocating for blind violence here.
No, what's the old cliche? There's a difference between hurt and injured. I'm not rooting for injuries. A little bit of hurt.
There's something about it being, call me a pussy, here we go. There's something about a pro fight where it's like there's no amount of blood that's too much blood. I don't care what sport or the circumstance. But then there's something about a college fight where you're like, you guys are being idiots. Yeah. Just like instantly, like these guys are being idiots. It's not to say that I don't like or dislike a fight. My natural instinct when you see college guys going at it, it's like, come on, guys, knock that shit up. But like if it's two guys in the NBA or like obviously the NHL.
Have I told you that? Actually, this was after the Notre Dame versus Wisconsin game at Soldier Field. I get back to my place. I can say it now because I no longer live there. I used to live right about at the intersection of Clark and Fullerton. I know it's a national show on the north side of Chicago, and I'm walking from the liquor store back to my apartment, and it was an Uber driver and like 3 or 4 kids, and they were all wearing Wisconsin shirts. And I looked at the kids, and I'm like, these guys are just fucking idiots. And the Uber driver, he was wearing a Notre Dame hat. He was screaming at them. They were screaming at him. One of these kids was in a sling, and they were just scrawny little fuck. They were probably from Naperville. Everybody's got that city that's like the stereotypical white suburbia city. Mm-hmm. That's Chicago's Naperville, Schaumburg, whatever. And this kid's like, you fucking virgin, just being a douchebag.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, I didn't want to fucking see this. And I went in on this kid. Get the fuck out of here. He's going to beat your fucking ass, you moron. Go back to Naperville. I'm screaming at the kid. And the kid's jaw drops, and he's probably watching this. He goes, White Sox, Dave. He was immediately, he's like, I'm so sorry that I let you down. He's DMing me all the time.
Uncle White Sox Dave.
I snapped because I fucking hate seeing douchebags fighting like that.
Yeah, well, particularly that age, right?
At that age,
if they're in their.
I'm looking at this Uber driver, and granted, I'm only seeing him in his driver's seat. Like, I'm like, this guy would beat your guys' fucking faces in. You're in a sling, first of all. You're not hurting anybody, and you weigh like $120. Shut the fuck up and keep walking. So that's my story. That was a complete tangent that had nothing to do. I will say this.
But we're talking about college kids fighting and why it's just stupid.
That brawl,
See,
I've seen that every Saturday night home game at White Sox Park that I've ever been to.
Oh, don't be a hardo.
Yeah, come on.
I know, but
that's
it's like,
what it is.
Come
there.
on.
I saw one really good punch landed in that hole.
It was like, I've seen better fights. The endurance ship, I believe this was a Barstool.
It's like my favorite story of all time.
Let's hear it.
Ernie Shackleton.
Floor is yours.
So we did a podcast on this in like August 2020, and there's been all these. This happened in like 1915. That this guy was going to go do sled dogs across Antarctica, and they get up and they have a burst of wind and a storm blows their whole ship up onto like this iceberg, basically ice sheet. Couldn't move it, so they stayed down on this ship. No like distress signals, no radio. This is way back when. It's a wooden ship. And they get stuck there. The guy described it as like an almond being stuck in chocolate. Like the almond can't move itself. Like you're just fucked. And they stayed down there for a year in Antarctica, or 10 months, just like eating seal meat. They had to kill a couple of dogs. And eventually they're like, you know what? We got to take the rickety little lifeboat, sail it across the most
Argentina
dangerous oceans to this. They call it Elephant Island or South Georgia Island. And they get to one side. They can't get around the island because oceans are too choppy. There's like a whaling community on the other side of the island. So they just dock and they cross these mountains by foot without any like mountaineering gear. The mountains are so dangerous that no one has even tried to cross them since. Okay? So they get there, they get to the other side, they get back in the boat, they go around and get their other boat, they go back and they rescue everybody who are on like one of those like Buddy the Elf ice floes. They're just waiting to be rescued. They got everybody. So, like, nobody died, and it was just like this guy Shackleton was like, well, we just got to do it. And he was just the best, like, leader of all time, like, would let guys rip on him, and then when he needed to crack the whip, he cracked the whip, and everybody got in line. He's the fucking man. The book's called, and the ship are called Endurance, and they just found it. They found it at the bottom of the ocean. It looked like kind of like Titanic.
I saw
where it was because it's so cold down there, it never really decayed. So you have like this ancient old ship and all their like stuff 2 miles underneath the water. So it's a great story.
The pictures are super cool. I skimmed through the blog. I'd never heard the story before. Like I read your first sentence. You're like, if you're a nerd, like this is your spot because this is a nerd story. I love that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely be doing a Wikipedia deep dive on it later on.
And apparently there's a lot of nerds because it was like a top blog on the site for hours today. So
there you
go. It's popular. I mean, it's a popular story. Shackleton. You say Shackleton. Shackleton, like you gotta know.
Rusty Shackelford, you know who that is,
right? Here's the thing. I saw Shackleton's lifeboat. I don't know. I was between age 13 and 15, and I can't remember if it was in Washington D.C. or if it was in London. Not to sound like I'm a world traveler. I've been to both places once. I just didn't know if it was in the Smithsonian or in the
maybe.
Is he English?
And they got like a nice, he's got like a nice
Ireland.
wing, and they got the story,
Yeah.
and they got like the 15-minute museum doc. You sit in one of those like really shitty, awful plastic chairs or something, and that is like one of those things where you're conditioned to be like, there's no fucking way I could ever, any version of me ever in history of time would be able to survive that. But then I wonder if almost all of them did make it.
Yeah.
Did it really happen? You know, I mean, like the fact you're not knocking on that door, Chief, has me a little
he's
surprised.
always usually the conspiracy.
Like, you don't want to be
too.
wrong. Imagine if you were wrong about
Absolutely.
Shackleton. Imagine this was just like a fucking.
You're trying to tell me that Santa isn't real, but Santa's fucking real and Shackleton's fucking real.
I'm not saying Shackleton isn't real.
In
I'm
that
saying
whole
have you
story.
considered the fact that he isn't?
I mean, they just found his boat. You think they just planted that?
I'm not saying he is or isn't real. I'm saying, have you considered
No.
that? Okay.
No, I have not considered it. But
what if he stumbled upon like Hitler's like lair down there because Hitler tried.
that
He came so long before Hitler, Dave.
yeah.
I understand.
I mean,
Hitler had a time machine there,
decades.
apparently. I know. What'd you say, 1915?
1915,
Yeah, so like
yeah.
30 years.
But like I think of us in that old office and like how hot it would get, and it was small, and we fucking hated every second that we would spend with each other in that office. These guys were stuck on a boat in Antarctica where it was dark 24 hours a day for 6 months a year. And like everybody was like, yeah, fine.
Chainsaw, like
Crazy.
Well, I mean, it's not like they were going back to
and
like
just send me in.
vaccinations
We
and
are
air
looking for
conditioning
the
and
Ernest
fucking
Shackleton.
Netflix. These guys are going back to like hard labor and fucking like.
No, some of them they were like because they had to like raise money for the trip, and so they had to like make it like they needed biologists, they needed a photographer, they needed like all these people who weren't necessarily like these hardened explorer like ship guys. It was like kind of half and half. So you had these people who were like, yeah, I'll go on a trip for a few months down in Antarctica, look at some cool shit. Sorry, you're there for like 2 years and you're like eating seal meat and dogs and porridge to stay alive.
Like there is nothing.
But morale
worse.
was high because Shackleton
Antarctica,
was
the world's last great frontier.
I can't
no,
like
you.
I'm not rooting for global warming, but I'm very interested to see what's underneath there.
I mean, it's the aliens that came here.
Yeah.
and helped
Yeah,
us.
It could be.
It's the aliens
Developed
that built
technology.
the pyramids. And yeah.
Showed us where all the mushrooms are at. What else is on the list, Dave?
Demon Time. A Japanese killing stone has cracked open and released a 1,000-year-old demon. I am out on demons. I don't like demons.
I'm out
I
on
don't want
demons. I'm very in on another Indiana Jones / National Treasure built around this story.
National Treasure's so good.
I love National Treasure.
So good. It's the best 4th of July movie. It's.
I feel like that
it's one of
movie
the best
gets.
summer
It's
movies.
kind of got the Nickelback treatment a little bit.
Because some people
Why?
like hate on Nick Cage.
He's kind of corny. He is
Sure,
objectively a little corny, but that movie is.
But
wildly
that character
entertaining.
plays like I love that movie.
And I love fucking American history, so like seeing all that shit is like.
Oh,
it's
John
right up my
Voight
alley,
too.
yeah.
John
Yep.
Voight is kind of like an expert archaeologist. It's a
John
very
Voight
compelling,
bit me
casting.
in the arm when I reached in to shake his hand when he was hanging out of a taxi cab one time.
Hold on a second.
I'm shit you not.
John Voight,
He
like
left teeth marks.
Anaconda John Voight.
Anaconda John Voight, yeah.
Like
Sure it
fucking
wasn't a
Coach.
dentist?
God, what's his name? Coach
Kilmer. Yeah, Coach
Bud
Kilmer.
Kilmer.
He was a real asshole in that movie, but he played the role great. But yeah, true story.
Well, I mean, more context. Where were you?
I was walking down Clark Street. I was actually outside Wrigley Field, and I see him. I'm like, how the fuck do I know that guy? And I'm like, Bud Kilmer, John Voight, there he is. And he was getting into a cab. This is pre-Uber-ish. This is like 2013, 2014 maybe. And I reached in, and I was intoxicated. And I went in to shake his hand, and he just grabbed my fucking wrist and just laid a fucking chomper on it. You've never heard this story?
I've never heard about the time John Voight.
It was a weird one. It was a very strange day for me. But
have you ever if I gave you a pencil with tooth marks in it, do you think you could match
they're
up
gone
them?
now. At the time I could have though,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah.
48 Hours featuring White Sox Dave's chase for.
Actually, this might have been because this is pre-Barstool. This is like 2011 then, so this is like 10 years ago. It was a wild one. I told my dad William Williams about it, and he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like accosting John Voight. That's a celebrity. You don't accost
So
celebrities.
other people have
fast
been
forward
asking you
fucking-
what's wrong with you other than just us.
Oh, my
for a
dad-
while.
This
I
is
mean,
a Seinfeld episode. I can't keep this bit going on forever.
This is a Seinfeld
This is
episode
a
that you
Seinfeld
had no
episode.
You
idea.
got it. I mean, you know what I'm doing. You know what we're doing. here.
But back to Killing Stones. Is anybody in or Demon Stones? Killing Stones? Something. Are you out on
No,
Killing Stones?
I'm not in or out. I'm just saying I want to learn more about Japan and how these become a thing. This is so far removed from anything we as a culture society have, where they're like that rock. That's a sacred
See
rock.
what?
Like,
We're getting towards it.
I don't mind having sacred rocks around here that have no like scientific explanation at all. Just like for generations upon generations upon generations for centuries, like this has been. We just don't fuck with this. We're like, oh, okay, yeah,
1,000
cool.
years old.
See, this
It
is
gives you something to be like. So then, when it does break, now everybody's got something to talk about. They're nervous. They're
Yeah.
now full disclosure again to you, the audience. We got these topics while we were recording Redline Radio, and we were like in a pinch. Should we skim these? This is what I kind of equated to something that's coming up, something that is very near and dear to all of our hearts. Okay. Is the Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or the leprechaun in the tree? The newscast.
Yeah,
Everybody
y'all
on the
seen a
leprechaun
leprechaun.
say,
Yeah, right. That's kind of
Yeah.
what I thought it was, like some like fucking little urban myth. Which
Japan, dude, they don't do stuff like that. It's more serious.
They're just fucking straight
Well, I mean,
edge.
it's just like
You love Arizona, though, right?
I do.
You ever been to Sedona?
Driven through it.
You ever seen the vortex?
I've not.
He drove through it in one day when he was touring Arizona.
Yeah. I mean, you can do that in Arizona. You can get from Tucson to like Vegas, Grand Canyon.
What about
in 4
Sedona,
hours.
Chief?
What?
What about Sedona?
I don't think I know
They
what you're
have
talking
these
about.
things called like the vortexes, apparently, and it's like this energy field that comes through, and you can have like spiritual experiences if you step into the vortex.
I've heard those. Yeah.
But
I know what you're talking about
my family
now.
was out there. I was probably in high school, and we were like just walking around Sedona. I was bored as fuck, and we noticed this guy following us, and we like for a while, like too long, and my dad's like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Do you guys know where the vortex is?" My dad's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, "No, I don't know where the vortex is." And the guy's like, "Okay," and then we walk away, and then he just like keeps following us, like very creepy, and like had like kind of crazy person eyes. And my dad's like, "Why are you following us?" He goes, "I know you know where the vortex is, and I'm trying to find it." My dad's like, "We're leaving. Let's get the fuck out of here before we get murdered in this Sedona National Park."
National parks are a no-go.
Yeah, they're littered with nuts people.
Yeah, there's too many crazy people.
I'm out on crazy people.
I'm out of national parks.
I could do national parks. I'd like to go to Yellowstone one day. Never been there.
Yellowstone's awesome.
Never been there. I'd love to go to Yellowstone.
What about some of our Cook County parks? What about the local parks, Dave? What about the forest preserves? What about the Chicago Park District?
Growing up, I had Blackwell Forest Preserve. It's
Soldier
one of the
Field.
highest points in Illinois. So it used to be a garbage dump, and then they turned it into a forest preserve. And you can see the Chicago skyline like clear as day on when it's sunny out from this. And I used to actually, my dad, back when I was an athlete, I'm no longer an athlete. When I was an athlete, my dad would force me to run Peyton Hills at this hill, and I'd get up at once or twice.
Yeah, there's the 9-hole golf course over there.
But yeah, so post show, our guy Eddie's not here, but what's going on with Tall Bike? I feel obligated.
His take killed him.
It might as well have.
He's gone into hiding.
He has. He's in witness protection right now because he thinks if you ride tall bikes, you're a douchebag. Mm-hmm. I say live and let live.
Can we say it on this show too, because it is a national show? Your Live and Let Live shirts have sold zero, where they've been on sale for over 24 hours
It's
now.
like one of those things where Dave's
But
like,
I
be
did-
aggressive, do what you want to do, like
Yeah.
take
So-
creative chances. Like Dave
This is-
sold
do
0
you-
shirts.
I don't want to hear you talk because it's going to get me into trouble in the court of public opinion and perhaps with Dave Portnoy. I put those shirts on sale as a joke, thinking that at most there'd be 10 idiots out there that bought those shirts. It wasn't me trying to make bucks for us and our ledger and our brand in Barstool Chicago. It was nothing like that. I just wanted to do it as a joke.
a joke shirt.
Yeah, it was a joke shirt.
Yeah.
It's not like if I was actually like this Bridgeport Bomber shirt. If I put a shirt like this out and I sold 0 shirts, I might as well fuck because I would be beyond roasted, and rightfully so, by upper management, Portnoy, and Stoolies in general. But this one was not for that.
I want to see at a White Sox game this summer, someone take a picture in one person buy a shirt, and when you see Dave at a White Sox game, I want you to be wearing that shirt. Let's get one sold, just one.
And kind of a little backstory on it. So we have this T-shirt guy who shout out Brett. He mocks up shirts for us in Chicago, and he had the idea. He's like, "What do you think of this?" And it was a tie-dye shirt originally, and I'm like, "Yeah, sure, fucking bombs away. Let's have at it. See what's." But we can't do tie-dye shirts in our store right now for whatever. Like we couldn't get the T-shirts on time, whatever it was. So they came out with that one, and I'm like, "It's a joke, honestly. Like I don't want to take up time of yours." So they came out with the shirt, and they're like, "Hey, what do you think of this one?" I'm like, "If you guys want to run it, run it." So that's how that went. But back to tall bikes, I got to get a tall bike now.
Oh, I've been Googling around.
Yeah, so we have to show up in tall bikes.
Yeah. Can we talk about your car though? I mean,
I thought you meant the accident I got in. That's
No.
That's the last thing I want to talk about because it makes me want to fucking fist fight everybody.
No, we're not. Don't do that. Don't go down this path. Arsonist.
arsonist. So
Arsonist.
this
He
guy-
got the story from him now.
Right. So the way that this guy describes, because Dave's always like, "Yeah, my asshole friend like lit my car on fire."
I contend that I am the one telling the truth here.
You think your friend is lying about it?
I do. And It's a high school group of about 10 friends that we still are all best friends and all that. Half the people think he did it on purpose, and half the people think that it was an accident.
The way that so Dave always says like he threw the firework in there and like turned into a Michael Bay movie, like, and he had parked in front of a fire extinguisher so they couldn't put it out, and the thing just went up in flames and never, like, they had to call the fire department. It's a whole thing. Could have charged a kid with a vehicular arson. Dave took the high road.
No, I wanted to. My mom wouldn't let me.
He wanted to charge one of his best friends with ruin his life over a 92 Buick. This guy says the car was moving. And he was on the he
was in a minivan.
He was in the minivan, so throws it over the hood of the car. He's like, I wanted the firework to go off on top of Dave's car, not in it. And he said the window was open that much. He said it was like a 1,000,000 to 1 shot that he threw it up over while moving from the opposite side. It went in, and it just like.
And here's the part of the story that I don't think I've ever told. So this was back in 2003 or 4. 2006. You're much older than me, Chief. I didn't have my license back in 2003. But I think this was 2006. And at the time, I was working at this health club, and I had to work through baseball season. Otherwise, I didn't have money. My parents didn't have allowances for us or any of that. So the only time I could work was Saturday mornings, like 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. And this is like pre-smartphones and all that. So I would go to the gas station on the way to work. I would get the sports section in the newspaper. I would rip that out, and I'd throw the rest of the newspaper in the back of the car. And it was like there was kindling in it. You know, it might as well been fucking just. I might as well douse it with gasoline myself. So I'm sure that's
you're an accessory to aggravated arson.
Well, it was my car, so.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just insurance and claims and.
They just paid it cash. It was a '92 Buick Century, so we didn't go through insurance. But like to this day, I remember that night, my mom showed up to the scene of the crime because my dad had been drinking. And he's like, I'm not dealing with cops right now. I'm not going, like, you figure it out. And my mom went over there. We get back, and we're driving our minivan back home. And the entire way home, I'm just thinking, I'm going to walk into that house, and my dad is going to murder me. He's going to kill me for being, like, even though it wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything wrong other than park in front of the fire hydrant. Mm-hmm. But so I get home, and I tell him what happened. I explain it to him, like, car's gone. And it was like when Walter White was in the basement digging up the money in, like, the crawl space or whatever, and he was just maniacally laughing when she told him she gave it to Ted Beneke. That's what he did. He was laughing his tits off. Hardest I've ever seen him laugh in my life. And it was like the perfect culmination of me being a complete and total moron and having moron friends in high school, because that was like the pinnacle. But we were always doing stupid shit with fireworks, and we had a bat.
Lighting shit on fire in the woods with your friends.
You had a what? You had a bat. What do you say?
We called it the Louisville Thugger, and we would go around in that '92 Buick Century and just beat the shit out of mailboxes.
You are such an asshole.
This is the first time I thought about that in 15 years.
It's probably a good thing that car
I am
burned down.
So embarrassed at what a piece of shit I was.
That's like karma. Now I am.
That's like a fucking come to Jesus. I haven't thought about that in.
I kind of think your car trouble right now might be related to that,
and I would deserve it. But it was like, hey, it wasn't just me. Like Mike Kelly. I'm talking about Mike.
Shout out Mike Kelly.
Posley, he was there.
Shout out Tall Bikes.
And that's the
arsonist.
That's the post game show. Unless you guys have anything.
I'm ready. I'm done.
We're done. Okay.
Illinois Big Ten champs, Big Cat stormed to court and got a 2 seed.
Download, rate, subscribe, review, all that blah, blah, blah to Redline Radio, Barstool Chicago, YouTube, and we will see you next week.
Whoosh.
Whoosh.